My name is Ashley Santer. I am a real estate agent at Pearson Smith Realty.
Love it. And now give me a little bit of a background. How did you get into the real estate industry and what led you to where you are today?
Okay, so little backstory, I guess you can say, is I grew up watching HGTV. I know it's like such a bad thing that everyone says. They're like, oh, it's not the same, which it's not at all. So my mom and I, we would watch HGTV growing up and like house flipping and just the whole process. I liked the process of that, but I knew that there was more detail involved in real estate. So I kind of read about real estate and I just oh, I'm not sure.
No, it's okay. You got
That's okay.
inspired by
Yeah.
it. Like everybody, I know it's a bad rep to be like, oh, it's like HGTV. Who cares? You were inspired by it. You
Yeah.
pursued it. You found out more about it. You learned that it's not like that, and that's still okay. And you still loved it. And
Yeah.
you're pursuing that and helping people buy their first home, sell their first home. Talk to me a little bit about the things that keep you motivated and excited when you're helping your clients in real
Yeah.
estate.
I would say what keeps me motivated is just seeing the smiles on their faces when they do find that perfect house, or if it isn't their perfect house, seeing what they can do to change the home. Just because there isn't, unless you build a house, there isn't a perfect home for you.
Yes.
And even if you do build that house, there's always something after you move in that you want to change, and you're like, oh, what if I would have done this instead? It would
Yes.
have been so much better. But that's okay because you can live with it, you can change it. That's the great thing about owning a home.
Yep.
You can do all that stuff.
Absolutely. With marketing, what are some of the things that you like to do to market yourself, get your name out there, maybe share things about yourself so people can get to know the
Yeah.
person behind the realtor?
So I guess with marketing, I would say I don't make videos a lot, just because I don't like
It's not
showing
your
my
thing.
face all the time.
It's okay.
I'm just like not like, with a camera, I just feel if I'm in public, I'm just like, who's watching me? Even though someone probably isn't watching me.
I'm like that too, girl.
But I like doing open houses, which a lot of agents do not like doing, but
Why?
they it's only 2 hours out of your day, but I think a lot of people, they believe that if there isn't traffic coming through an open house, it's a wasted time.
Oh, okay.
So, I don't mind that. Even if I'm at an open house and there isn't anything going on, I'm always doing something else with my job to be productive with my time. I'm looking at properties for other clients, or I'm, taking a video of the house if I have permission to,
Yeah.
and, posting that way I can advertise that home as well. So then people are like, oh my gosh, Ashley, like, what's the address of that house? We want to come check it out. And I'm like, oh yeah, like, here it is. So I
Yeah.
send them that, and then they say, oh, we're going to pop by, or, we're going to try to like see the house next weekend. Are you going to be there? I'm like, I'll try to be
Yeah.
there.
No, and I love it because you can also build like a relationship through that
Yeah.
as well and get to know them a little bit and talk about what their home needs are, what they're looking for,
Yeah.
what got them excited about this house, and maybe talk about the neighborhood. It's like a good
Yeah.
icebreaker. So I think that is great.
Yeah, and also with marketing, I like to go to like restaurants or coffee shops, other places that I enjoy. So then I kind of like business spotlight them too, and then they, repost my stories.
Oh,
So it's kind of like, self-marketing in a way,
yes.
but it's things that I love, so I want to share that with others.
Yeah, no, I love it. What do you think is something that makes you stand out, like out of all the real estate agents? I would just like to hear what
Yeah.
everybody has to say. Like, what do you think you can bring to the table? Something unique about you?
Um, that's a tough question because I don't really like focus on myself a lot. I like to
Oh,
focus on others. I'm a mom, so
you
I
look so young.
yeah.
What?
Yes, yes. I have two daughters. They're 12 and 14.
Can't need a
So
moment. Wait, what?
yes, yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness. Okay.
So it was kind of like I always focus my time on them, but what makes me stand out, I like to be genuine. I know that I just don't like to be someone I'm not. So I think that if I look like I'm trying too hard, then they're like, hmm. But if I'm kind of like posting things that are personal, not just business wise, that's kind of
Yeah.
I
getting
Yeah.
to know you, like, without being actually there, you can kind of see, like, okay, she's like this, or she
Yeah.
likes that,
Yeah.
things
Yeah.
like that.
I don't know if that really sets me aside from anyone else
That's
or
okay. Being genuine,
yeah.
being that component about you and being
Hmm.
genuine and not just about it being like a sales or meeting this quota. That's
Yeah.
what makes you
Yeah.
stand out. And I like hearing what everybody has to say because
Yeah.
maybe some people are like, well, you have this equality. Forgot to say that. But it's so cool to see how the entrepreneur sees themselves sometimes.
Yeah.
So thank you for sharing
Yeah.
that. What have been some of the current challenges in the real estate market that you have found to be like a little bit like, oh, gotta find a way to get through this because right now this is crazy.
Yeah. So you've probably heard about the NAR settlement and
On the
everything.
17th of August. I know. I didn't hear the end of it.
Yes, from probably so many people.
Yes.
It's, getting through that part and just educating buyers, sellers, other agents, even because sometimes they aren't educated themselves. So that's really what I've been seeing lately, and like a struggle myself is kind of just trying to have just some patience and just kind of like taking a step back, and not everyone has read up or is as
Yeah.
educated as I am, because I am part of a great brokerage. I do have to say that, shout out to Pearson Smith Realty.
Shout out.
um, they just have such great education that I'm always in the office trying to learn something. They have videos and meetings that is just, it's so useful. It really is.
They're helping you keep up to date and all that good
Yes,
stuff.
yes, which I'm so appreciative of, because I feel like, maybe some other brokerages, they might be doing that, but not to this degree.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Shout out to them then.
Yeah.
What is the work dynamic like at your brokerage, like with your other team members and all that good stuff? Are
Yeah.
you guys just like very close? Are you guys doing like what are these things called? I can't remember the word, but it's like having a get together where you guys
Yeah.
like are bonding, like bonding
Yeah.
things.
Yeah.
Talk to me
So,
about that and how that helps and how that separates them from other
okay.
brokerages.
Yeah, I'm part of a lead program, and that's on Mondays. So we get together, we talk about some like kind of hot topics, but then I'm also part of, well, it's not part of, everyone's included. There's no registration that's needed. Teamwork Tuesday is so big in our offices. It's not at every office that we have, but it's at almost all of them. We get together, we go over our ones of the week first, which is so nice to hear. It isn't just business related, it's personal too.
Yeah.
So I find that relieving that we can kind of like see what it's like in other realtors' lives, like what did they do over the weekend?
Yeah.
Because we understand that, we
Yep.
sell houses, we buy houses for people, we go to houses, but what do we do besides that?
Mhm.
It's not a 40-hour work week, it's a 24/7
Yep.
job. We're always on call, and it's just nice. So we kind of go over ones of the week, then struggles, which everyone's on the struggle bus. That's what we say. Some of them are, like serious conversations, but then also some of them are kind of silly. Like, I know, for instance, there is an agent that was like, well, the washing machine, like went out. What am I going to do? Who's going to pay for it?
Yeah.
It's just like certain things like that. We're just like, okay, we'll do
Just
this,
yeah,
like
yeah.
it's not a big deal. Pump the brakes.
Yeah, pump the brakes.
Yeah.
Come on now.
It's just a washing machine. We will get through this together.
Yes.
Um, but there's also goal setting that we have, which keeps us accountable,
Yeah.
and that's helped me so much in my business, because if I wasn't looking forward to next Tuesday and like, oh, what do I have to do from this Tuesday to next Tuesday? I'm like, what goals did I make? During this week, and I can kind of like go down that list, and it's so nice to achieve those goals.
Yeah.
It's silly, but we get a gold
No.
star.
I
If
love it.
if we achieve those goals, we get a gold star, and it's like, like, oh, I got one for this
I
week.
know, right?
Yeah,
Looking forward to something. I love it.
yeah, yeah,
Do you guys like help each other out too when it comes to issues? You're just like, hey, I've never encountered this. Do you
yeah,
know what this is? And like stay friendly with each other because I know
yeah,
sometimes it can be competitive out there.
yeah,
So is
yeah.
that like a friendly environment?
Yeah, it definitely is a friendly environment. I haven't really discovered too much competitiveness in my brokerage per se. I
Okay.
know others, they aren't really, team oriented, where they're like, oh, let me help you if you're out of town. Um, so We do. We team build. There's some of us that have gotten together outside of the office just to kind of, strategize, over different topics.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we definitely do help each other a lot,
Nice.
which is
No.
nice. It's nice to know that you have a helping hand
Yeah.
whenever you need.
Absolutely. And do you guys have any like client events or anything that you guys do to get together with like maybe previous clients or maybe potential clients? Anything like that?
Yeah, yeah. So we had one. It was, I want to say it was the beginning of this year. It was at Harvest Gap Brewery,
Nice.
and it was for a, oh goodness, I forget what exactly it was called,
Yeah.
but it was an organization, a foundation that helps cancer.
Oh,
And we could bring our past clients with us, and it was just like a nice day. It was beautiful outside, and there were raffles that everyone could participate in.
fun.
I didn't win any, but it's okay.
It's okay. It's not about the winning. It's
Yeah,
about being there
no,
with people
yeah,
and all that good stuff. But it's always
yeah,
nice when you can win something,
yeah.
right? All right. And let me just look at one of my notes here. How do you stay? Oh, wait. Actually, you've already kind of answered that one already with Keller Williams helping you with that. What are some of the most important factors that buyers and sellers should consider when choosing a real estate agent to work with, in your opinion?
Okay. In my opinion, I would say someone that they can communicate with well, because communication is really, that's what we're supposed to do. So if a agent isn't communicating, that's kind of where you need to vocalize to them. So if a seller or a buyer, they come to you with communication, that's the number one day. Like you have to start even day zero
Yeah.
communicating, basically, not even day one.
Yeah.
So they should look for communication. Um, the let's see here, like time wise manner, what their needs and wants are.
Mhm.
And even if they, like a buyer or seller, like their needs and wants aren't completely met, we need to tell them why, because set those expectations, because they may be all the way up here, but they can only,
Go so
yeah,
far. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
No, yeah, and being self-aware. So that is
Hmm.
a good
Yeah.
point right there. And then, how do you stay organized and manage your time effectively as a real estate agent, especially when dealing with multiple clients and transactions?
Okay, so I have a few different calendars. I don't
Wow.
Yes, yes, a few different ones. Because I do have a family at home. We have our big calendar that's on the counter. It's like an electronic, like kind of like tablet one that we
Cool.
have. But it color like codes like my work schedule
Yeah.
and every person's individual schedule too,
Wow.
which is great because we can be like, oh, the girls have softball tonight, mom has a showing at almost
This
the
time.
same time,
Uh-oh.
so dad
Yeah.
has to step in, and he's like, okay, I gotta go do this. So the calendar definitely helps a lot. What else? Just setting reminders and just kind of like looking over your tasks every day
Yeah.
just to make sure you're on top of it.
Absolutely. No. And what do you do to set boundaries for yourself? Because I know you say you have two girls.
Yeah.
So, and I'm sure you're like busy juggling work and then you've got your husband and then you've got to be at the
Mhm.
softball game. So,
Yeah.
how do you set boundaries for yourself so you can make sure that you're always at like your best for yourself and for your clients and your family?
Yeah. Setting boundaries, it's difficult. Um
Talk to me about it. I
I
want
know.
to know. I want
I'm
to
trying to
know.
think of even how I set boundaries. I know that I try not to answer emails or text messages, phone calls after 9 o'clock at night, just because, unless it's an emergency,
Yes.
obviously. If it's
Hmm.
an emergency, then that's okay. But if it isn't, it can always wait until the next day. There's
Yes.
nothing that I can do from 9 o'clock until 8 o'clock in the morning,
That's right.
you know? So I try to kind of like turn my phone on do not disturb, or, at dinner time. That way I'm present with my family at dinner. I put my phone, we kind of have like a no phone policy at the dinner table. That way we can catch up with each other, see how everyone's day was going,
Yes.
and just be present,
Yeah.
So.
I want to know why that is so important for you and for your family and to share and keep that I guess maybe not a tradition, but like what's the word? Keep that what's the word? not having your cell phone there, like having those moments where you're present in time. Why is that important to you?
It's important to me just because growing up, I'm from a divided family, and I didn't have family meals really at night. So it was kind of some night, like my dad raised me, so he would have to work. He was a car salesman, so
Yeah.
he would work until he would only get home at 9. So it was kind of like I would make dinner for myself,
Oh,
eat at a young age. So I wanted that for my family when they were growing up that way. They knew this was our time to just like
yes.
get together, to joke, to laugh, to hear about our struggles throughout the day too. That way we can help each other and we know we're always going to be there for one another.
Absolutely. No, I think sometimes we get lost in all the noise and like
Yeah.
ping here, ping that, my
Yeah.
friend here, my
Yeah,
husband
and it's
there.
just like, like it can wait. Like I said, with the how do you find those boundaries? Your phone can wait an hour.
Yes.
Like it can wait an hour. You don't have to pick it up as soon as you hear that, that dinging or the vibration of the phone if it's on, silent. You don't need to. Like it's
Yes.
okay.
You're right. I myself struggle with that sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes I feel like it's like so addicting because you're like, okay, I'm checking one thing. Okay, but
Yeah.
now I'm gonna check the other. And oh my God, I
Yeah.
don't know. But it's like so important to just have those moments and put it down. I think
Yeah.
we'll be grateful for that later. And your kids will
Yeah.
probably be so thankful. Like, you know what? I remember this with my mom and my dad, and I'm so grateful that
Yeah.
I had those moments with them as opposed to being on my phone.
Yeah, where like, we aren't eating and just like, yeah,
Scrolling.
scrolling, doomsday scrolling, they call it.
Yeah.
We don't need that. There's some other hours of the day for
That's
those.
right.
Everyone's guilty of doing
Yep.
it, but dinner time is our time.
Exactly. Love it. And how do you balance the needs and wants of clients with the realities of the current real estate market? And what strategies do you use to manage the expectations?
Okay, so I've noticed that right now everyone thinks that they can get top dollar for their house as sellers, which everyone thinks that what they have is valued at more than what it's actually worth sometimes. So, kind of showing them on paper XYZ home is worth this. You can do like pl- pluses and minuses for homes. So my kitchen is more updated than that home over there. So my home might be worth a little bit more,
Hmm.
but kind of just bringing them back to reality. Like you're not going to get, $150,000 more
Yes.
than what your home's actually valued. It has to appraise as well. And that's something that I think a lot of sellers don't realize is their home has to appraise. And if it doesn't appraise, then the buyer might not be able to afford that home. So you want to price it accordingly
Mm-hmm.
that way with the market.
Yeah.
Um, that way you aren't, stuck
Yeah.
on market for a million days and then people are wondering what's wrong with
Yeah.
that
Like
house.
red flag.
Yes, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No. Yeah, I didn't think about that. So that's a good tip. Um, when you first started out, like being a realtor on your own, did you have a coach or a mentor or anybody who
Yeah.
helped you? And could you share a
Yeah.
little bit about how they have helped your journey? And would you
Yes.
recommend it for other
Yeah.
entrepreneurs or business owners?
Yeah, so I have she's still my mentor. Her name's Joella.
Awesome.
She's awesome. I was kind of confused as to why I needed a mentor at first. I was like, I don't know if I really need one, but it's she's been there for me so many times that I can just pick up the phone. I'm like, hey, Joella, it's me again. Like, I'm sorry to bug you, but just because I don't want to be in a position where I'm telling my client the wrong thing, because I could get in trouble and potentially lose my license, and I don't want to do that. And I also don't want that client, being given
Information.
misinformation
Yeah.
because that's not good. So, if I have any question, I want to make sure that I know the correct answer before giving it to them. So if they're like, hey, Ashley, like, like, here's X question, I'm like, oh, in my mind, I don't know the answer. I'm going to be honest with them just because I don't know every answer.
Yeah,
So
no.
I'm just going to be honest and say, hey, I don't know that answer, but I will get it to you, within the day's time.
Absolutely. And is there anything that I have not touched on that maybe you would like to share with our listeners in regards to maybe yourself as a person or something going on in your life or your job as a real estate agent?
Yeah. So, One thing that I definitely want to touch base on is I was licensed initially in Virginia. I've been licensed for a year in Virginia. I wanted to always get, because I'm so far like up in, I don't want to say the neck of like, the thicks of
The thick of it all.
yes,
Yeah.
but I'm kind of far out there. I live in Hillsborough, so it's so close to West Virginia. It's close to Maryland. I can probably get to them within 15-minute drive.
Nice.
So I said when I first got my license, I'm gonna get my West Virginia license. I'm gonna get my Maryland license eventually. So what happened was I had one of my first clients. They were good friends of ours,
Hmm.
and they were looking initially in Virginia. They found a house that they wanted to go see in West Virginia.
Yeah.
So I had to tell them, I was like, sadly, I'm not licensed in West Virginia.
Got
So I was just like, oh man, like this really stinks. I kind of procrastinated a little bit just because I wanted to learn and not be overwhelmed with being licensed in two jurisdictions,
Yes.
that I was like, okay, I'll just put off West Virginia, getting that license for maybe like a year, maybe that year anniversary of being a realtor, I'll go and I'll get,
Yeah.
my West Virginia. But I lost like my first deal to that, because I didn't have the
Darn.
license that gave me the drive to
Yeah.
go get my West Virginia license. I was like, you know what? Screw this. Let's go full force. So I have my Virginia license. I have my West Virginia. And I keep saying eventually I'll get my Maryland.
You got
But,
this.
and
You got
it's
this.
funny because I have some friends that are like, Ashley, we want to buy land in Maryland, or we want to buy a house in Maryland. I'm like, is this going to happen to me again? you know,
Let me be
like,
prepared this time.
yes. So maybe I'll get that Maryland. You never
You
know.
got this, girl. We're gonna manifest this for you, and congratulations
Yeah.
on getting your West Virginia one. Now you've
Yeah.
got two. Some people
Yeah.
just got one,
Yeah.
so you're well on your way. Who knows? Maybe next stop
Yeah.
Delaware. Who knows? I'm just kidding. You're
Oh,
like, girl.
that's a little far from me.
Yeah, I know. I just threw out a random state on the East
Yeah.
Coast, but no, yeah. All right. And then as my last question, I always like to ask everybody at the end, do you have like a saying or a mantra that you use as inspiration or that has inspired you in some way throughout your life that maybe you would like to share with our listeners to help inspire them too?
Oh gosh.
Right on the spot.
I
Sorry.
would say that's okay. I would probably have to say to just keep going and believe in yourself. If you put your heart and soul into something, you will achieve it. You will get to that finish line and you're going to be so proud of yourself. Just like real estate with me, I pushed it off for so many years just because I had like the kids. I wanted to be present in their life growing up. I didn't want like a babysitter or daycare raising them. So I
Yes.
was like, I'm going to be there when it's my time to be a realtor, which I want to do as a career. I will do it. And I did it.
Yes, you did. And we're
Yeah.
proud of you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for being on the podcast. We
Yeah.
really
Thank you for having
appreciate you.
me.
Yeah, it was our pleasure. So thank you.